My name is Chris Saraceno. I'm the Vice President of the Kelley Automotive Group. I've been in the auto industry for 34 years. Right out of college I started. So I'm going to walk you through what we call the secrets of the best sales consultants. And my mindset behind this is a great meeting. How many folks are in retail here? This is a great meeting to take back and use as a sales meeting with your sales consultants, where you have 16 specific activities that the best sales consultants are doing around the country on a daily basis. And I would ask you that when you do it, you ask them to rate themselves, A, B, C, D, or F, just like they were back in school, so they can look in the mirror and say, am I doing what the best sales consultants are doing? And if I'm a C, what do I need to do to be in B? And if I'm a B, what do I need to do to be an A? And that's part of the coaching. So this would be the beginning of the meeting. So the first thing I want to say is I love this industry. I mean, how many folks here love the auto industry? It really is a great industry. I look at it and say I love it so much that when my daughter graduated college in 2009, 2010, and the industry was tough, she was in Jacksonville, and she's like, Dad, you know, I don't know what to do. It's tough to find a job. And I said, go sell cars. There's always a place that you sell. You're not going to work with me. You're going to work at another dealership. And she went to go work for Duval Ford. And then when my other daughter graduated, she said, Dad, I don't know what to do. I said, go sell cars. When my stepchildren got out of college, the first thing I said is, go sell cars at a non-Kelley dealership, not with me. I truly believe that this is a great business to make a living in. And I believe it that if we don't believe that, then there's no way you're going to bring the talent in you want into your business. So the first thing I want everybody to do is I want you to stand up. Stand up. Nice. It's early morning, so I want you to do something to loosen up a little bit. So I want you to reach as high as you've ever reached in your life, on your tippy toes. All right. Then after you're done on your tippy toes, I want you to sit down at the very edge of your seat. So sit at the edge of your seat like you're almost ready to fall off. And on 2, I want you to take a deep breath and hold it for 10 seconds. Ready? 1, 2. Now, when someone says, hey, how was this presentation from Saraceno? You can say, you know what? He had us reaching for new heights. He had us sitting at the edge of our seats, and he had us breathless within the first minute. So let's go into the presentation. As I mentioned to you before, I'll give you a little history. I work with the Kelley Automotive Group. They've been in business since 1934. We have 9 franchises, depending on how you count the franchises today. The way I count them and the way they were counted years ago, I really count like a Buick GMC as 1 franchise. I don't count it as 2 anymore. I count Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram as 1. They still tell you that it's 4 franchises right now. So I would say 5, but we have 350 team members. Been involved in the auto industry since for 34 years. Very similar to most of you. Unless your family had it. You got into it and said, I'll do this until I find something else. And then you start to realize what a great job it was. Or somebody, when you started, mentored you. They took the time and effort and patience to work with you, that they made a difference in your life, and you said, you know what? If it wasn't for that person, I wouldn't be here today. My person was a guy named Harvey Ritter. He was the owner of the dealership that was 78 years old, and he sat down and he walked me through, and it was the way he had me believing. He had me believing that I could make a living selling cars. He had me believing I could do all the right things. So I share this with you because as leaders, that's what we want to do with every sales consultant, get them to, he had me programmed that 50% of your business should come from you and 50% should come from the good reputation and the advertising of the dealership. So I'm a believer. Why am I telling you this up front? I believe it's up to us that every single sales consultant we meet, or potential sales consultant, that from day one in the interview, we program them. We program their mind on this is what it takes to be successful if you join this business. And you get them believing from day one that this is a partnership. Half your business comes from your advertising, from your good reputation, but half should come from them. In today's market, they got to believe that. Because if we set them up that way, we can look at them later on and say, I told you when you started here, this is not about sitting and waiting for people to walk in the door. This is about making things happen. Now, we're going to teach you how to do that. But if we get them thinking that way from day one, it's a different process. So I'm going to walk you through this because this is what we go through during the interview. During our first or second interview, before we put our hand out and say congratulations, we walk them through and say, now, we want to tell you what it takes to be successful in this business. We want you to look at us and tell us that this is something you believe if we give you the training, if we give you the support, that you will do this. Why do we do that? Because down the road we could again look at them in the eye and say, you remember during the interview, we walked through this? This is what you said you were going to do? This is what we agreed to? Is it that I didn't give you the support? Is it that I didn't give you the training? Is it that you didn't understand it? What's the reason you're not doing every one of these 16 elements that we go through? So for the folks that just joined, the 16 elements are the ones that I'd like you to go through in your sales meetings and get everybody to give themselves a ranking. So if you've been doing this for a while, how many folks have had more than 5 years in retail? How about more than 10 years? More than 20? More than 30? Anyone more than 40? All right, so I'm 34 years, but there's nothing I'm going to teach here that you haven't heard. What I believe we have is a really good package that you go through in a meeting and you talk to them, and a really good package that you present during the hiring process, and a really good package when you do your one-on-ones. And you sit down with them and say, hey, so which one of these do you need the most help with? And that really good package that when you have them do a self-evaluation and you personalize this at your store. So the first one we're going to go through is very obvious. They spend and they plan their day the night before in writing or their CRM. But think of yourself. How many folks as leaders do you not know what you're going to do the next day? Most of us know exactly what we're doing the next day. Why wouldn't we expect everybody else to do this? Now, I'm going to tell you where I got a lot of these elements. About 14 of these elements in 1995, there was a gentleman by the name of Skip LaFoe. Does anyone know who Skip LaFoe is? Skip LaFoe was the president of Saturn Corporation. So Skip LaFoe at the time hired me to go around the country and interview the top 100 sales consultants. Now Saturn, if you remember, most of the dealers had Lexus stores. They were the biggest and best dealers. They had a bunch of different stores. So he said, we're going to pay you to go around the country and find out specifically what the best sales consultants are doing for all our dealers. And we want to find out, is it a certain age? Is it a certain education? Is it a certain ethnic background? What makes these people so good? Is it male? Is it female? I will tell you a very interesting fact is that of the top 100, 15% were females, when the industry at that time was less than 3%. So we did find out that when a female enters the industry, that she does better than a male if supported and trained properly, with the right support. So I want to mention that up front, that when you think of your hiring. So this is so common sense. Unfortunately, common sense isn't that common. That a lot of people just don't plan their day. They show up and they have no idea. Now we believe that it's our job as a leader, that before they leave, that we remind them every day, okay, what's your plan? We could look in the CRM. Many of us manage our dealership through the CRM today, right? I mean, you're looking through all the leads, you have it on your desk, you have 2 or 3 screens going up, and you're wondering, what's going on? Why didn't we contact that person? So this is one of the most important things is, let's look through, if we have 10 sales consultants, you could get a quick glimpse as a leader. You could look through and say, you know what? I just looked through 4 people that have come in tomorrow. Not one of them have planned tomorrow. And then we could talk to our managers and ask why. But that's crucial. The next one, how many of us that now are leaders don't show up early? I mean, you got to show up a little bit early. And sometimes you have a sales meeting, you have that person running in at the very end. So another specific habit of the best sales consultants is that they show up early. And if they didn't do it the night before because they were so busy, because sometimes there's a legitimate excuse. You're there 10, 11 o'clock at night delivering a car, you didn't get the plan. That's when you show up the next day, you plan, you get to meet everybody, say hello to everybody, get your mindset ready. Number 3, they spend a half hour to an hour on product or skill training. Do we have the tools they need to do the training? Do we have the system resource? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So as I'm going through this, I'd like you to question and say, 1, am I coaching this? 2, do I have a resource for them every day to do? In today's world, it's really easy. They could go on so many, even if you're not part of one of these systems, being it's Verdi or Cardone or David Lewis or many of the Mark Tewart, so many great trainers out there. There's all these free sites to go on where you could watch something and do something or walk around. So I'd like you to rate yourself right now as a leader and say, okay, am I providing the resources? Did I take the time to review this with every one of the new sales consultants that come in this business. If you truly believe this is a great business. Last year, we have 70 sales consultants in our company. We had 48 of them that were there for 1 full year, because you always had the bottom that are turning. But 48 for 1 full year. Our lowest sales consultant made $35,000. Our top sales consultant made $240,000. Now, how can 2 people have the same job and the same opportunity, and one person makes $35,000 and there's another person that makes $245,000? You know what it comes down to? Exactly what we're talking about here today. It comes down to their daily activities. What are they doing on a daily basis to make sure they're driving traffic? It comes down to a mindset and believing. The gentlemen, we track referral owner prospects. We have the sales manager's question, and then an F&I, they question it. Then we track it, and we put it on a sheet every single month, and we track it. The top sales consultant, 78% referral owner prospects. The bottom sales consultant, less than 10%. Less than 10%. So again, that's why do we have that? Is to show them documentation, and we share it every month with everybody. It's part of being part of the President's Club. They have to achieve a certain amount. I'm sharing just thoughts that I know work, and I know they will work in your store, but we always have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, are we doing what they need to do to be successful? Okay, number 3, nothing that, and everybody knew about these before, it's just making sure they do it. Okay, they keep in touch with customers and prospects on a consistent basis. Do we have a formula that they're actually doing that? In the CRM, there are so many great tools out there today. I was walking around yesterday, they're showing me in the CRM, we could do videos, everything. When a customer leaves, within a minute, we could send them a quick video text, thanking them for coming in. Once they buy a car, we could do that. There's so much to do. They're proacting in assisting every customer's. Pretty much every CRM today has an area where you can put information in the family. I'm 56 years old. There was a 10-year period where my 5 children probably bought 10 cars. If I wasn't in the auto industry, during that 10-year period, we would have bought 10 cars. Now, if somebody would have had my information and put it in there and put Tia buying a car in 6 months, and our point of view is, whatever they tell you, if they tell you a year, you call them 6 months from now. If they tell you 6 months, you call them 3 months from now. But if we have it in the CRM, it's a great way of tracking it. And if we talk about this all the time, it's not like, to me, it's not like you don't say it once. It's sort of like, who has a dog in here? How many times do you have to tell your dog to sit? Sit, sit, sit. If you have children, how many times do you have to tell them to brush your teeth? I'm going to tell you a funny story that I had a manager say to me, and he got very nasty to a sales consultant that came to the desk. And I walked up to him and I said, why would you talk to him that way in front of people? How would you like for me to talk to you that way in front of people? He said, well, Chris, you don't understand because you don't test the deals every day. How many times do I have to tell them what they have to do? And I said, you know what? If it was that easy, all the Kelleys would have to do is hire a training company and a recruiting company, and all they could do is enjoy life the rest of their life. The reason we have a job is because managers must manage and leaders must lead. It never ends. It will never end, and if all of a sudden we know in our mind it never ends, you're not going to get upset. You're going to realize, you know what? I'm always going to have a job because you're always going to have to lead and manage and coach people. It's a never-ending job. So in your mind, remember, our job never ends. Every day we have to coach. Every day we have to teach. And when you get frustrated, just get a big smile on your face and say, you know what? I'm always going to have a job because there's always going to be people that need coaching. Even when they do something bad, we all fall back. Even us, we fall back. All right, next one. They hand out 3 to 5 business cards a day outside the dealership. Challenge them on that. I mean, most of us, if we were in the business for years, things are still the same. We're not saying hand out a business card. Here's how we teach to do it. We're not saying hand it out and say, buy a car from me. Here, buy a car from me. We're saying that when you go to the grocery store, when you go to a dry cleaner, everywhere you're at, you hand your card and you say something like, thank you very much. I really appreciate the service today. You did a great job. If I could ever help you, here's my card. Now, I'm going to make a bet with everybody in this room. And I'm going to make a bet that it's 100%. And I've never been wrong. And rarely do I bet that I'm 100% every time without fail. I bet you everybody in this room has a business card in your purse, in your wallet, or in a drawer at home, or sitting in your car somewhere, of somebody you've never done business with. Is that true? Everybody in this room. Why do you have that card? Just in case, right? Just in case. That's why we do it. And think about this. I believe the advantage we have is the auto industry doesn't have a great reputation. If they meet somebody for just a brief encounter, and that person is warm and friendly, you know what they do? They look at it, and they either toss it, or they hold on to it and say, you know what? I'd rather talk to this person than somebody I don't know. Every one of us have that card, and we hold on to it. They hold on to our cars because if we have that brief introduction, and we were nice, they're going to want to hold on to that. That makes sense? Any questions so far? Okay, let's go to the next one. They work the service lane. There's so many tools. I'm not going to go into detail about this, but if you're not working the service lane today, if you don't have a specific team doing it and you leave it open to the team, you know, I'm a believer that if you don't have a specific tool and there's somebody that wants to show up early and do it, you know, let them do that. A lot of people made a good living. I did when I was selling cars. I made a very good living showing up very early in the service department, getting to meet people. Next one. They share the history and explain why they worked there. And years ago, anybody remember a guy named Jackie B. Cooper? And Jackie B. Cooper used to say that when you're with a customer, it's a passing parade, which means you could say the same comments pretty much every time. That is so true. We believe that if you don't know why you're working at that dealership, if you can't look at every single customer and say, you know what, I could have worked at any dealership in this market. The reason I chose this store was because. Why do we want them to do that? Because it's the difference between being average and great is this much. Mr. Kelley, who's 83 years old right now, used to tell me, he told me that when I was 29 years old. He said, Chris, the difference between having an average life and a great life is this much. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, it's doing this much more than everybody else every day without fail. And all of a sudden he said, your life's very different when you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s because you did what other people didn't want to do. That's what we have to let them know, that the difference between having a great life and an average life is doing all the little things that make a difference, is telling people every time. Why? Because when you keep repeating things over, guess what happens? You believe it. And part of that belief, part of influencing people is the belief that you have in the company. And when they go to all the other dealerships or they talk to other people, they say there's something special about the person I've dealt with because they really liked that dealership. They could have worked anywhere, but they chose that dealership every time. Next one, I'm a believer that any process is better than no process. You can't have 20 sales consultants. We have 70 sales consultants. We can't have 70 people doing 70 different processes. You have to have a process that you agree on. Now, I will tell you there's an exception to every rule. If I have somebody, the sales consultant that made $240 last year, if he has great CSI and he's selling 25 to 30 cars a month, and and bringing 78% of the people in here, I might challenge him once in a while on a process, but if he wants to do something slightly different, to me, he's at a level that he could have been a manager, that he's turned down that position many times. I won't treat everybody, just like you're not going to treat everybody in life. I have children, I don't treat them all the same. It's all based on behaviors, it's based on rewards. So if you have somebody that's just killing it, I might flex with that person. Mistakes I made when I was younger, is I wanted everybody to do it exactly the same. And what I realized is to choose my battles wisely, that when there's somebody that's selling 20 plus cars a month, and they have great CSI, and they bring a lot of their own people in there, you sort of look at them and say, and you treat them different. There's nothing wrong with treating somebody special that's doing a great job. When somebody's performing well, that person should get treated special. I'm not saying that they get different pay plans. I'm saying their behaviors and activities are different. We reward them. I'm a big believer what gets recognized and rewarded gets repeated. What gets recognized and rewarded will get repeated. So I believe that if we catch people doing something right, you get them to do things more than if you find someone doing something wrong. And sometimes in our industry, I believe, I was very fortunate, I only worked for 2 dealerships in my life, and they were both great dealers. I catch too many people looking to catch somebody doing something wrong. And who here, likes being told everything you're doing wrong. And we're all like big kids. I don't care if you're 5 or 50. We all like to be recognized. And we're still like that little child that wants to walk back up to the boss and say, look what I did. Just like the little boy or girl wants to walk up to their mom and dad or grandparents and say, I did it again, and we still make a big deal out of it. So these are all the little things that make a big difference in coaching and managing people. Next one, this is something you can't teach. They have that strong sense of urgency, competitive nature. They're enthusiastic. You could tell when you meet people, if they have that enthusiasm. And there's some times where I meet somebody during an interview, and I'm sure everybody feels the same way. I scratch my head and I get that limp fish handshake, and they don't look at me in the eye. And I wonder, didn't their parents take time to teach them that this is how you meet somebody? This is how you... So this is something you can't teach athletes. You have some athletes that go to... A lot of them have that. They're used to that competitive nature. They're used to the coaches getting on them when they don't do what they're supposed to. They know they have to do specific things. So we like to look at athletes. We like to look at people that had performance, that performed in the past, that they could show us that they performed. Number 11, the best only associate with the other people that are the best. If the best sales consultants at your store, think of this. How often are they spending time in the huddle? How often are they sitting there talking about what's not happening and why they can't do things? They're focused on what they can do. It's no different than us. Who do we like to associate with? We like to associate with people that are winners, people that are better than us, people that want to be great. One of the benefits of meetings like this is you get to meet other dealers. You get to talk to them. You get to meet them. You get to find someone that's doing a really good job. Then you call them up afterwards and you ask them, hey, can I visit your store? Can you send me this form? And we like to share with each other, especially if we're not in the same market, we will share all the information. So I encourage you when you're here, meet other dealers, talk to them, find out what they're doing, share information with one another. The best sales consultants, our top guy, his name is Eric Sparrow. He will ask a manager and say, if he's having sit down with me. Walk me through what I need. Here's what I'm doing. Is there anything different? Here, pull me aside and say, hey, Chris, I haven't seen you for a month. I haven't had time to talk to you. You know what? What do you think? What would you do different here? The best sales consultants are naturally curious. Remind people during the hiring process there's nothing wrong with asking us for your support. That if you don't ask for support, it's just as much your fault as my fault if it's not happening. Number 13, they have a backup plan. Every time they show a vehicle, they have that backup plan and they have the takeaway all ready to go. They already look at it as a chess match and they say, okay, I'm ready. All right, if I present this and they said they want this, I'm going to show them this vehicle. I'm going to pull this vehicle away. The best sales consultants always keep their managers involved. Why do they want their managers involved? They're working you every bit as much as they're working the customer. They're working, and you know what will happen? Will you stretch on a trade for your top sales consultant? Will you stretch and give a little bit more? And will you get up if a sales consultant looks at you and your top guy says, you know what, Tim, I'm this close, but I know if you went in, I don't know, somehow you're magic. I know if you went in and talked to this guy, you can make it happen. Think of the pressure you put on yourself. Our top sales consultants understand that. They understand they're going to get more for the trade. They understand there's no way they're letting Tim's letting that leave because they're not going to want to disappoint his top person. You're going to make it happen at that point. They're not like, I don't have anything here. Do you want to talk to this guy? They're pumped up. They're selling everybody at that point. They act as if it's their own business. Most of them are investing money in Facebook right now. They're doing posts. Every time they sell a car, they're posting things. There's so many people online. There's a gentleman, if you ever look online, his name is Bill Have, H-A-V. He's in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. The guy's selling 30-plus cars a month. He's posting things on Facebook. He told me last month he sold 31 cars, talked to 40 people. He has his own billboards, and not one customer was a walk-in. Every single person he drove in. You will look at him on Facebook, and he's a great guy to show your team and say, look what this guy's doing. He'll show you his billboards. He's doing everything on his own and not even counting on the dealership to do that. They get involved in the community. So these are the 16 specific areas. My recommendation is that you're going to ask. You're going to sit down and you're going to ask them. You're going to walk them through doing the interview. Then you're going to remind them a month or two later and you're going to pull this out and say, where do we stand? And then you're going to ask them to do ratings. You're going to pull this out every once in a while to get the fingers pointed back at them, but also get the fingers pointed back at you to say, what am I not providing to make this sales consultant the best? These are 16 specific activities that we know. In fact, I always make a bet to every one of the sales consultants. I say, I'll tell you, I will bet you this, and I'll make sure I'll pay you. And I make some type of bet with them being as financially. I say, I guarantee you that if you do this for 2 years, and you're not making over 100 grand, and you can look at me in the eye and tell me that you're an A rating in every one of these areas, I'll make sure you make 100 grand. So if you made 90, I'll make sure you made 100. Because I know, without confidence, if they do this every day, and if they could rate themselves an A in every one of these categories, there's no reason that somebody couldn't make $100,000. Now, a market might be different, or a franchise might be different. I know with the franchises that we have in our locations, I know that if they do this, it's a $100,000 job. Where else can you find somebody that could, within 2 years, do that? Where else could you find somebody that doesn't have to go to their boss and say, can I have a $2 raise per hour? I think I'm worth more. Or can I have a raise here versus giving yourself a raise? This is a business that you could truly look at anybody. I believe that sometimes the reason we don't recruit the top people is maybe that we don't believe. When I hear somebody say, I don't want my son or daughter involved in this job, or I don't want my relative involved in my job, or I have an uncle that's considering this, I don't want them to have to work like I work, I look at it and I say, you know what? This is a great business. I mean, there's great people, it's fun, it's exciting. There's always something new, but there's always something the same. You know, the business is always changing. So now that we know what the top sales consultants are doing and the 16 specific activities, let's talk about where we find them. Let's talk about what you look for. We're believers that you really look for, when you recruit, you're looking for aptitude, that natural acquired capacity or ability, you know, that you know when you meet them that they have that, and you're looking at attitude, that confidence. Somebody that's walking in and doing one of these, and they're not talking. So you could pretty much tell from the very beginning when you're meeting somebody what they have. When did the best leaders stop recruiting? Never. And what I call in this business that I see happening, and I guarantee it's happened sometime in your career, we do what we call binge hiring. All of a sudden we say, oh, we need 10 sales consultants. We drop down to 7, and all of a sudden we're getting pressure, and all of a sudden we just take anybody. Rather than doing what the best companies are doing in the world, what sports teams do, they're always recruiting, they're always looking. When they're at a restaurant, they're looking at that potential waiter and saying, you know what, that person would be great in our business. They probably could come in our business and make a lot more and have a lot more fun than what they're doing here. And they're used to working late nights anyhow, working lots of hours and different shifts. They would be great in our business. So those are the things that we want to take a look at is, in our mind, we have to program ourselves that everywhere we're at in our community is an opportunity to recruit for our company. Okay, here's some things that, as far as recruiting, that I found the best. You know, local colleges, retail stores, whenever you're out shopping looking for shoes or suit, you know, anywhere you're at, that person that you're talking to, you want to visualize, okay, do I like the way I'm treated? How would they be with our customers when they're out there? Restaurants are great. Customer service. Athletes. These are the set up the expectations. I'm not going to go through them in detail. And a lot of this is also in your program. If you go to your app, the PowerPoint is right on there. The PowerPoint I'm suggesting that you would use is the 16 elements in your next sales meeting. Why did team members leave? I really believe team members leave because of us, in most cases. I mean, there's an exception to every rule, but it's usually something that something we didn't set them up for success, or we oversold the job and told them, we show them the top person. Our top guy made this much money. This is what you could do, versus saying, our top guy made this much money, but he's been with us for 10 years, because staying at the same place is important. And not only on top of that, 78% of the people that he sells are people that referral owner or prospect. And let me walk you through what he does every day, and that's how he gets that. Are you willing to do that? So we either sometimes undersell it or oversell it. There's a fine line during interviewing that I believe, that I say, when you're interviewing a new candidate that we're trying to bring into our business, there's a fine line on interviewing them and really finding out specific behaviors and what they've done in the past. And we like to call them structured interviews. Very specific structured interviews that you use that are behavioral questions. And then there's also that fine line of not overselling, but you need to sell a little bit about the opportunity in this business. See, one of the opportunities I believe is where can you go in today's world from a sales consultant to a sales manager to general manager or to general sales manager. It's 4 positions and you're the boss. You got 4 promotions and you could be the boss. I mean, that doesn't happen too often. And think of the money people make in this business when they become a sales manager or general sales manager, GM. And if in this business, if you have the right attitude and you perform and you have a good values and you have a good personal life and you have a slightly above average intelligence, you're going to be great in this business. Unfortunately, you always find something that's going on. The guy's really bright but a little bit lazy. Or they have a great personal life, but they don't want to put the time and effort in to do the work. But if you could find those elements in somebody, that person is going to be great in this business. They're going to excel in this business. In fact, they would excel in almost any business. Well, there's no quick fix in finding the best sales consultants, but there's also no quick fix in this business. There's no secret sauce. Everybody wants a silver bullet, that this is what's going to change your dealership. There's no one thing that's going to change your dealership. Maybe you, if you're the leader, you could be the secret sauce of changing your dealership, because it is true, the fish rots from the head, or the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. But we're the secret sauce. The leaders are the secret sauce that make that difference. And then it's surrounding ourselves with the best people, and it's making sure that we give specific direction. Just because we're adults, when somebody enters our industry, they need direction. When you enter this business, if you've never sold a car, I don't care if you're 18 or you're somebody that's 60 joining this business. People at the very beginning need specific direction. These 16 elements, I believe, are very specific directions, and then you show them in your way at your store. This is how we do it at our store. This is what the best sales consultants are doing in this specific direction. On number 16, this is what our best guy does here. At 16, here's what our best sales consultant does here. They're very specific in those behaviors. So that's the detail. There's, as I said at the very beginning, there's nothing here that was something you haven't heard. Is something that we believe that the best ideas are sometimes getting people to do what we know are the right things and letting them know we're here for you. We're here to support you. Here's what you have to do. Tell me the coaching. Tell me the support that you need. And rate yourself. Now let me know what you need from us and our management team to get you from a C to an A in these areas. I want to thank everybody very much. Any questions? Let's see. Well, first of all, give yourselves a hand for coming. Appreciate it.
How do we get those 17 points?
I believe someone was telling me that it's in the app, so everybody has it right now. Somebody guide him who was here today, was just showing me.
Go to this. So find the session under the session thing. Yep. And then you open up the session, and when you scroll down, it'll say handout.
Handouts, there you go.
Handout. Okay. Click on handout right there.
You take a screenshot. Well, and then I would recommend that if you take it home and you want to personalize it, that you take the 16 elements, and if you want to personalize it and do your own PowerPoint, because you probably have something slightly different that you want to say in that area, you want to give. I like to just give a bullet point and then talk, so it all depends on how you like presenting it. I would also do a handout where they actually have to rate themselves, A, B, C, and they have to write a little specific thing, what they need to move up in that area. Mr. Noonan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Excellent. Just super process.
Thank you.
All right. You know what I'm going to ask you. A person comes in and buys a car. It's a very personal investment. It's no different than that fine suit they're going to buy to go to that really good dinner. The difference is the suit's going to hang in the closet tomorrow. They're going to wear this car for the next 6 to 9 years. So,
Hopefully less than that.
well, that's exactly. Thank you. So, would you address taking that process? As you know, I'm on the customer service side. Would you take that process and turn this sold into purchase or invest in a customer? And now we have that guest, like a hotel, and we want to keep them in this relay race instead of a sprint. Take them back to service, start selling them the aftermarket products and accessorize their vehicle. there's still a warranty, maybe get another shot at selling them a warranty, certainly some other accessories as they start to fit into this vehicle.
Well, we are believers in a trade cycle, and the trade cycle is presenting a lease, a 2 year, or 3. We love options. We believe that when people have options, it's easier for them to make a decision. Either it's to buy or to trade cycle versus to buy or not buy. So first of all, we love the trade cycle. We love to sell the advantages of it so that later on we can tell them, this is why we want you to go into short term. We also, everybody in here believes that during the sale, you should be introducing your service department and selling the benefits of using your service department and telling the benefits of your service director, your technicians, how many master techs you have, your advisors, how long they've been there, because that's part of selling the next car really starts as you're selling your first car. So if we're not building the story during the sell, well, first of all, we sell more cars when we sell our service department. When we start, like an example, 2 of our service directors in Pennsylvania have been with us for over 30 years. One of them is actually a partner in the business that he bought into the business. Telling that story during the sales process of why you will be taken care of after the sale and introducing that person, even if they're not there, just telling them about that person and telling them about each advisor and telling them, no, we have 4 master techs and here's why you're going to get your car fixed right the first time. That already plants the seed of them coming back in for service. But we're big believers in trade cycles. In fact, right now we're working with Ally, and we're in a pilot program with them for used car trade cycles. Because we believe that's something that's going to, we want to be at the forefront that on the pilot program, where all of a sudden we start doing more used cars that way, rather than putting somebody in a 60-month or 72-month loan on a used car. We want to get them in a trade cycle and at least present that to them. So I'm not sure if I answered that, but that's my point of view on it.
Yeah, the point is, the point of sale is either the point of affection or defection.
Yes.
And it's your choice. You own that until they have to,
Well, and the best part is in a CRM today, you know when your customer came in. So, I mean, as a sales consultant, why would you not look at your CRM when you get an alert and it tells you that your customer was just in and call them up right away and ask how everything was? And the best time to fix an issue is right after it happens, and we all know we're happier than when everybody understands there may be an issue or a problem, but if you fix it right away, so we have to, again, program our sales consultants. The best way to keep that customer is to take care of things right away. A lot of sales consultants get uncomfortable calling somebody after they sell a used car. Why? Because they're afraid there's an issue. But the best time to fix it is right away, and think of this. In today's world, we just can't have all the bad reviews. You can't have people having bad reviews on used cars. It's the best marketing we ever have when you fix somebody and ask them to put a review on for taking care of them.
What are some of the things you do to try to get your reviews from your salespeople? Do you have a program in place?
We do. We have a President's Club that we have. It's over $60,000 in additional to what we believe is a very lucrative pay plan where we pay over 35% commissions on when you hit a certain level. But if you have to have 20 reviews in order to qualify for certain pay programs that we have. So everybody has to have it by the end of March, they have to have 10. By the end of the year, they have to have 20. And then they have to be over a certain rating to be part of the, so we build it into as part of the pay plan reviews. And we focus on Dealer Rater, Google. Google we count as 2 reviews because we believe that helps us a little bit more. I think we're going to open it up this year to more reviews also. We're also a big believer that you don't ever give anything for free, which means if you go above and beyond and you know you went above and beyond and you know that customer's happy, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, would you please let other people know about this? Would you get on the site and give us a couple reviews? If we sold an as-is car and they knew it was as-is, but we took care of something for $200, $300, we always remind them, there's nothing wrong at that point to say, you know what, we took care of that. Can you please just get on this review site and give us a nice review? And most people will. I mean, think if somebody was going to pay you $100 or $200. We're not paying them, but we're taking care of something. It's the law of reciprocity. We're just asking for something in return. When we do something above and beyond, which we always do, which everybody in this room does. Every one of you in this room, you do things above and beyond, but sometimes we don't ask for something in return. Today's world, getting something in return is a good review because it helps drive traffic. And you know what's going to happen in the future? My prediction, it's happening already. You're going to have people in the future, that's happening with our top guy, where he gets a phone call. First of all, they're going to decide, what kind of brand they want. being they want a Ford or Nissan. Okay, once I decide I want a Nissan, which Nissan store do I want to buy from based on reviews? Then they're going to say, okay, well, now I want to buy from this Nissan store. Which sales consultant do I want to deal with? Okay, they have 20 sales consultants. Well, look at all the reviews. And that person looks like a really nice person. They're going to call up and schedule an appointment. I mean, we already have right now, we have like, I would say it's somewhere between 5 and 10% of the time, we have people calling up and they're going, I didn't even know this person. They just called me up because of my reviews that I have. That's going to be more and more, because you think of our children. I mean, they're doing reviews everywhere. They're looking at, I'm at a restaurant with them, they're looking at the reviews of what it's saying, or no, Dad, I don't want to go there because they have bad reviews. It's not going to be 100%, but it might be 20 or 30% of the sales 10 years down the road, where all of a sudden you have people just making a phone call because you have all these great reviews. Why do people want to risk a bad experience? The most precious commodity is time. Why do you want to spend time with somebody that you might be a risk when you know it's almost risk-free if you're looking at that specific person with all these great reviews and they've been there a long time? I mean, that's one thing we never get back is time. And I don't want to have a bad time when I know I could have when I could pretty much bet I'm going to have a good experience with that person. Does that make sense? So I think the more we keep telling our sales consultants that, and we program them, hey, this is going to happen. If you're going to be here a long time, start getting the reviews now, because you don't want to say I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Start getting referral owner prospects now, because you don't want to look back. I believe this business is a great business. I believe it's fun. I also believe it could be like a life sentence. If you're going to be somebody in this business for 20 years, and you're going to be a 60-year-old man or woman walking the lot in the heat or in the cold, and every person you're talking to is a fresh person, and it's not a referral owner prospect, I'm telling you, after 20, 30 years, you're going to be beat up in this business. But when you're in this business and all of a sudden people walking in and you have 70, 80% of your people refer owner prospects, that's like having fun. You're meeting friends. It's like different friends coming in every day. Hey, and you see people hugging you. They bring in presents to you. It's a completely different business 20 years down the road, 10 years down the road when you're dealing with people you know. This is a tough business, and I know this from watching experience. We have a gentleman that's been with us for years. He's been selling 8 to 10 cars for 20 years. And I can tell you right now, I look at him and I can see he just has to do it because he has to pay his bills. And he even looked at it and said, I should have listened to you 20 years ago, Chris. And he's just too tired right now. But that's tough, I'm telling you, to walk around the heat, especially in Florida, and you're going to be out there. Program them and keep telling them over and over and over again. And when does it end? Never. Our job never ends, our coaching never ends, and it's no different. When did we tell our children to stop brushing their teeth and making their bed? We didn't until they did it. Why? Because we love them. And if you really look at every person as your child and say, how would I want my child, my mom, my dad, if they were in this business, how would I want them treated? I'm going to tell you a quick story, and you guys you're welcome to leave, but I think this business is such a great business, but I believe it's so important the way we treat people. And if we treat people with kindness and respect. And, you know, I see things that happen in this business just like you do. And I remember a gentleman, he must have been in my age group, and, you know, he lost his job and he was very successful, and he decided he wanted to sell cars to support his family. And he came to the front desk, and we had a young sales manager there that was very bright. I mean, very bright, very quick-witted. And he starts talking down to him because he didn't do all the right things. Now, when I was standing behind him, I could literally smell the fear on this gentleman in my age group. And I could see how scared he was, because it was like his first deal. And he was excited at the front desk. And he came up, and this young, bright guy talked to him like he was a dummy because he didn't enter something into the CRM the right way. And you could see the guy's face getting red, and you could see sweat coming down his face. And it just hit me. I mean, this is a gentleman, these people are just trying to make a living. And all of a sudden we start talking down to them because they forgot to enter something in their CRM right in the middle of a sale versus afterwards just saying, let me show you what to do, and then coaching them on what to do. I mean, we really have to be careful because we could lose really good people. And we lost that guy. And I believe in my heart he really would have been good. But he didn't want someone, as I said to him, listen, I don't want somebody that's 26 years old talking to me like I'm a dummy. You know, he's scared enough, he's trying to support his family. So remember, whenever we hire people, and whenever you see things, that you watch what's going on, that you observe the way we're desking deals, you observe the way we're coaching people, because that's truly why we lose good people. Good people don't have to be treated that way. Talented people don't need to have somebody talk down to them just because they forgot to do something. And it may take somebody 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months until they really get it. I mean, not everybody's going to start out and be a superstar right away, but if they're doing all the right activities and they come in with a great attitude every day, we know, as sure as night follows day, you know that they're going to eventually be good if they're doing all the right things every day and they have the right attitude. Have a little bit of patience with some people. And let's make sure that we treat that person like they were our brother, our father, our son, our daughter, our mother or grandmother. How would you want them treated? And I believe if we do that, we will keep attracting more people and that your market you will dominate. But it's never-ending coaching and reminding our team members and our managers that this is how we drive people, and we have to keep reminding. I have to remind myself every day, keep coaching our managers that this is how you treat people and this is how we attract people in our company. Any other questions?
After you have interviewed and hired the people with those things that you can't teach, then you bring them on, do you have a specific onboarding process?
We do. Either myself or Greg Kelley. We sort of battle who does the orientation, and it's like a 4-hour orientation that gives a history of the company, the culture of our company. We walk through our mission, our values. We walk through our process. So we personally teach it every time. We selfishly each want to teach it because it's our opportunity to meet every single team member in the company. So we like teaching that, and it's something that we don't ever want to give up because it keeps us involved in meeting everybody, and it also makes the team comfortable in approaching us, that if we weren't involved in the interview, because I believe it's important for, especially when you get a certain position, you become the dealer, you become the GM, you get a certain position. Some people are a little nervous, and we forget what a title sometimes makes people feel like. They have to feel comfortable to approach you and say, hey, I have a question. How would you do this? Hey, can I ask you this question at this point? If we're not approachable, we might miss that talented person, or we might lose that talented person. So we do that, and then we have an online service we work with. We work with David Lewis and Associates. Our point of view is that the general manager, you could choose who you want to train, but you must do this, this, and that. If you're in a certain area, we have a specific sales process because we believe the relationship is more important than you being a super expert at the product. So we have a campus where we have Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Buick, GMC, Mitsubishi, a big used car center, and then like 10 miles away we have a Nissan store. This is in Pennsylvania, and another used car center. So if you work with us, you could sell any car. Just when you show up to that dealership, you need another sales consultant to support you when you have product questions. But we believe the relationship you have with that person is just as important as knowing the product, as long as you have somebody to help you. And then we also have our own internal Kelley class, so we put them through a 4-day Kelley class where we have the managers teach, even though we may not be great at teaching as if they went to a professional, a Lewis or Servet or Cardone or Verdi or Tewart, but sometimes when you teach, you internalize. So, and plus when you teach, you realize, hey, this is really good stuff. I got to make sure that they really do this. And also you feel like if you don't really make it happen, you feel hypocritical. Because if you don't say what you're doing in front of class, now all of a sudden you look like a hypocrite in front of everybody. So teaching internalizes. So I'm a big believer that managers should teach. Even if you're not the best at it, it reminds you of what should happen, and it also holds you accountable on what should happen. And then we also send them to outside training. They're all involved in Dealer Elite. They're all involved in all these online. We give them a bunch of different online things to go through all the time. Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much. You guys have a great day. Appreciate it.